Alright, so in today's video we're going to be talking about when you should upgrade your camera gear. I've come up with a pretty simple formula where, it makes sense to upgrade and you on top of that will actually have money in the bank. But before we get into that, I want to give all of you a huge thank you for watching my last YouTube video where I talk about depression and going through burnout. Every word that I said in that video was 100% what I truly felt. And if you haven't seen that video, please check it out by checking out this card right here, because a lot of you creative folks, you always go through a brick wall. I mean, it's just a part of life. You don't have to be on YouTube to experience this, but I'm just saying that if you're going through, depression or any brick walls, go ahead and check out that video. I think it's really going to help you out. But anyway, we have some camera gear that we got to talk about. We also got to talk about the Sony A7IV. It's coming up. It might be even announced later October. So yeah, let me first talk to you about when you should upgrade camera gear, because I know that every single time a camera company comes out with a new lens or a new camera or any other accessory for that matter, you really have to think about some things, and that is all about whether or not you're actually going to use all of the functions, all of the features of that camera. Is it really worth the upgrade? Is the 6K, 8K, 10K something that you're really going to be looking forward to and using? I mean, I've had this Sony A9 since it came out, okay? My rule of thumb is to keep any expensive piece of equipment for at least 5 years. My MacBook Pro is from early 2016. I'm due for an upgrade this year when the newer MacBook Pros come out from Apple. I know there's gonna be a huge upgrade. Apple actually does a major upgrade to their computers every 5 years. But in between those 5 years, they do minor upgrades to the processor, to the graphics card, SSDs, and RAM, and so forth. So they've come up with a formula to actually do a complete hardware redesign every 5 years for the MacBook Pros. They've been pretty consistent with that formula, and honestly, I think that's my formula for when I upgrade not only my computer, but my camera gear as well. Lenses are different. Lenses basically stay the same. However, different companies come out with different focal lengths and different looks in each lens. So I think each lens is very special when it comes down to overall characteristics and whether or not you need that specific look. But if you're happy with your current lens, I mean, lenses can't really get that much better. A G Master lens can't really get that much better. So if you spent a lot of money on a specific lens, trust me, lenses will outlive your cameras and computers and all of that. It's glass, there's no processor or anything like that inside. So a lens will definitely outlive a lot of the camera bodies and computers. Now back to cameras. So yeah, every 5 years, I'll upgrade my camera gear. For example, I have my original Sony A7S from 2014. I was really due for an upgrade. I was thinking about the A7 III. And I was like, no, I'll wait for the A7S III. So I waited an extra year or two to get the A7S III. And lo and behold, Sony released that camera and I immediately snatched it. And right now there is a shortage of Sony A7S IIIs. So yeah, I mean, I upgraded my A7S lineup. Now it's time to upgrade my A9 lineup, so to speak. I actually got this camera kind of by mistake. Before the A7 III was available, I needed another camera because I used to have an A7 R2 and I broke that camera, so I needed to immediately upgrade, so I got an A9. But now I'll be selling my A9 and getting the A7 Mark IV. So honestly, I think this formula is really simple and easy. It's gonna save you money and it's gonna actually put every cent that you spent towards your camera body to work, those thousands and thousands of dollars. And in 5 years, your camera will depreciate down to at least cover hopefully a third or a half of the cost of a new camera body. So it's not a complete loss. So 5 years, that's a good enough time to upgrade your camera bodies. I know I said that a lot, but 5 years is a really good time span for camera companies to upgrade, do major upgrades for their hardware inside of their camera bodies. Now let's talk about the upcoming rumored A7 IV from Sony. I'm getting all of these specs from Sony Alpha Rumors, so check out the link down below if you want to learn more. So here's what we're expecting from this camera. I'll give you my honest opinions and let you know if this is actually going to be true or not. because of Sony's history. Now, we do have a launch date of October 21st. Obviously, this depends on whether or not we have enough microchips. There's been a huge chip shortage this year and last year, so prepare yourself for delays. But there's no doubt in my mind that at least Sony will make some sort of announcement for the Sony A7 IV. So there's a new 33 megapixel sensor. This is a definite upgrade from the previous gen A7 Mark III. 33 megapixels, completely doable. 15 stops of dynamic range. This is pretty good and very doable with past Sony cameras. So far, so good, no doubts here. We have a 3.69 million dot EVF electronic viewfinder, and the LCD is improved with 1.44 million dots. There's question marks here, but honestly, from the upgrades I've been seeing for the Sony A7S Mark III, this definitely looks doable. 4K 30 oversampled from 7K. Now this is interesting. 7K down res to 4K 30 means that we're going to get very sharp images, possibly even sharper than this Sony A7S Mark III. And this has been done previously. For example, the A9 downsamples from a 6K sensor. So I get very sharp images with my Sony A9. We're also expecting 10-bit 422 4.8K at Super 35 mode. This is a cropped sensor mode, which honestly I won't be using too much of. I really do love full frame, and all my lenses are full frame as well. We get 5.5 stops of IBIS, which is what we've seen in previous Sony cameras. And we have a full-size HDMI, just like the Sony A7S Mark III, so we don't have to worry about those pesky micro HDMI cables that constantly broke, and I spent probably at least $100 or $200 on replacing those cables. Complete nightmare. I hope Sony never goes back to that. All right, we have UHS 2 SD cards and CF Express cards, just like the Sony A7S Mark III. And the price, $24.99. I'm thinking between $23.99 and $2,500, something, you know, around there. They want to keep the prices similar to the previous A7s that were, you know, released a couple years ago. So far so good on the Sony A7 Mark IV. This is definitely going to be an upgrade from my Sony A9. This camera was kind of a mistake for me to buy simply because it's more of a photography camera rather than a video camera. And, you know, this was a rookie mistake, but I needed a camera. I needed something that had 4K. And again, don't forget, I got this before the A7 Mark III came out. So honestly, this camera really did a lot for me, and I'm very happy that I did get it, but way too much money on the Sony A9. I think I spent like $4,200, $4,300 on it. Definitely too much. But the good thing is that because I spent so much, I'll be able to sell it, and it will pay for most of the A7 Mark IV. Remember guys, you need to keep money in your bank. Don't go crazy over some YouTuber who says you need to buy this, you need to buy that. I'm guilty of that as well. I talk about gear in a lot of my videos on YouTube, but you really have to, you know, boil down to if you can really afford this and if your business is going to pay for this and make you money. You need to make profit. Revenue turns to profit eventually, right? Hopefully. And you got to make sure that your revenue exceeds your expenses, and that's how you turn that into profit. You're running a video production business. You're running a photography business. It's about money, guys. Keep money in the bank. Spend money only when you need to, not because a YouTuber tells you to or a camera company comes up with some BS feature that nobody honestly will need. So keep that in mind. Also, by the way, DJI will be releasing the new Mavic 3 Pro drone. We're going to look at some of the rumored specs for that as well, because right now I have the Mavic 2 Pro, but because of all the drones and all the rules and regulations with that, I don't know if I'm going to be upgrading. I mean, again, I'm thinking about keeping money in the bank. 4K 10-bit is plenty enough for me. Don't get fooled by all of these features that honestly not a lot of people are going to use. Stick with the gear that you're using now if it fulfills yours and your clients' hopes and dreams, right? Don't spend unnecessary money, okay? If you have any questions, DM me on Instagram, momentum_productions, or leave a comment down below. I try to answer as many as I can. I have been much better with my money over the last couple of years because I now use all of the equipment that I personally have bought. I use all of it. I use my A7S Mark III. I even still use my A9, my lenses, all of that, my lights. I use them. Don't let them sit on the shelves. If they do, get rid of them, sell them, at least get some portion of that money back that you spent. All right, keep that money in the bank. Keep that money flowing. Keep it going up. All right. All right, guys. Yeah, that is my rant for today's video. If you liked it, please give it a like and subscribe for more. Wow, that felt really fake. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.